guys, welcome back to my channel, and hello if you're new. I hope you've been happy, amazing and positive. So today I'm going to bring you guys another case, and if you've seen in my past videos, I do talk about domestic violence cases on this channel. I talk about cases that aren't really given much light in mainstream media and doesn't have the recognition that it deserves. Domestic violence is such a global issue that I feel like it really deserves a lot more media attention, a lot more awareness. So that is what I'm doing with all my true crime stories, is I'm trying to create awareness. By no means do I mean any disrespect to anyone in my videos, any of the victims. I'm just here to report cases that do deserve to be acknowledged. The case that I'm going to be talking about does give a lot of gruesome information. It's quite violent and it does involve murder. So if blood and gore is not your thing, please click out of this video now. I've got plenty of other light-hearted videos that you can watch. All the information that I'm providing in this video I have found through media articles. However, like most of my other videos, there wasn't much on this case purely because it just wasn't in mainstream media. It was more like local news to where this family lived. So forgive me if anything is wrong. I've just compiled all the information and I'm presenting it in this video. Today I'm going to be talking about the murder of Patricia Jarvis and her two sons, Stuart and John. This case does involve the murder of kids. So if you are faint-hearted, please do not watch any further. Stuart and John were the two beautiful sons of Patricia and John. So John Jarvis, who committed these crimes, also had a son called John. So I'm going to refer to the son as Little John so that people don't get confused. This case is going to really leave you questioning why. Like, this is the main question I still have right now as to why this happened. A father killed his two sons. And a lot of people don't think that, you know, family violence is part of domestic violence. It is. A lot of kids get abused. They get physically abused, emotionally abused, almost the same way as the mother endures. John and Patricia Jarvis also had a daughter as well. However, once we dissect the information, you'll see how this all pans out. John and Patricia Jarvis were originally from South Africa. They got married in 1986 and had their three beautiful kids. Like I said before, one was called Stuart, who was 8 years old. One was Little John, who was 11, and Monique, who was 13. Patricia's mother unfortunately died in the year 2000. And it was after this that Patricia and John decided, let's move to England, let's buy a business, let's start a whole new life. So they did. They moved to Kent originally and stayed there for a little while until they moved to Blackpool, Lancashire. They bought a hotel in Blackpool, England called the Winslow Hotel, and also that's where the family used to live, in the basement of the hotel. The family were only in Blackpool for about 3 months before the killings occurred. They pretty much had a family business. They were running a business. It was very successful. One of the neighbors even mentioned that he spoke to Patricia Jarvis quite soon after they moved in. It seemed very hopeful. It seemed very good, like they were going to get a lot busier during the summertime. They were really excited to have this new life, and Patricia also mentioned to one of the neighbors that the kids settled in really well at school, and also the neighbor stated that they seemed like a normal family, like, you know, just like most families do. There was nothing eerie or nothing strange about them. They were just a normal family that lived locally. Before John and Patricia got married, John always used to voice that he did not like or agree with Patricia's smoking habit. Smoking was one of John's pet peeves. He just hated it. Not just with her, but he just hated the smell of it in general. He hated people that smoked. He did not want to be around it. He loathed it. Before their wedding, John made Patricia sign a prenuptial agreement to say that she was to only smoke 6 cigarettes a day, which already to me kind of sounds a little controlling. I understand that people don't like smoking, but to make your wife sign an agreement that you are not to smoke an X amount of cigarettes per day really goes to show the control factor that he already set in place for her in order to marry him. It just didn't sit right with me. But nonetheless, they had a pretty normal marriage. Like, there was no indication of him being physically violent towards her or the kids. They just seemed happy. John and Patricia often used to argue about the fact that she smoked. Even just the 6 a day, he just hated it so much that he would still nitpick at things about smoking all the time. Patricia actually introduced John to her church, which he became really fascinated with. He didn't really used to go to church, but he got really fascinated with it once he started going, and he almost became obsessed with religion, obsessed with the devil, obsessed with God. And just, you know, if you're familiar with the Bible and the scripture, you know, the last book, I think it's the book of Revelations, there is like they say that the devil is going to appear with like 666 on him, and it's going to be pretty much like the end of earth. He was just obsessed with that story. Like, he just was interpreting this scripture in like a very dark way, not more so living by the word of God, but more like obsessed about the devil and the darkness surrounding that whole topic. On Patricia's cigarette packaging, the barcode would usually have the numbers 666 on it, and he would often interpret that as the devil. And obviously, like, smoking isn't good for you, but he used to look at that and go, that's a sign, like, that is a devil habit, you should get rid of this, don't do this. And the thing is with Patricia, like, she knew that her husband was very disciplined, and she really respected that about him, and she never really used to smoke in front of him. Majority of the time she was always outside away from him, and he still didn't like it. He would say to her, like, you know, this has 666, doesn't that tell you enough? This is horrible, this is an addiction that you need to get rid of. And Patricia was like, you agreed to 6 cigarettes and that's what I'm doing. John also once said to one of his friends that if he had found out that she was smoking more than the agreed amount of 6 cigarettes per day, he would kill her. His friend didn't take it literally. Like, he just thought, you know, when people say like, oh, I'm gonna kill you because of, you know, whatever, like, he just thought it was just the form of expression. He didn't think it was literal. He just didn't see John as like a violent person. 2 weeks before the killings occurred, John went through Patricia's jacket and found a packet of cigarettes. Finding this out made John furious. He literally saw red, his blood was boiling, and he started arguing with his wife about this. Even just days leading up to the killings, he just wouldn't drop it. I don't know if it's because Patricia may have said that she's going to try and quit, and he found the cigarettes and got mad, or he somehow found out that she was smoking more than 6. So that bit to me wasn't very clear, but I just want to leave that open, I guess, to interpretation. On the 26th of March 2003, Patricia and John went to a local pub called the Victory Pub. Just the name of the pub, it gave me chills, because you'll see as the story unfolds, it's almost as if he got victory over her and he got what he wanted. At this pub, there was a psychic who used to do readings there, and on this particular night, this psychic was there, and John really wanted a reading, so he sat down with this psychic medium and got a reading done. As she was doing the reading, there were some tarot cards that she was pulling out for him. One of the tarot cards came out as the devil. Because of the nature of how obsessed John was about the devil, he saw this as a sign yet again. The psychic kept saying to him, do what you were not able to do 5 years ago. Sort it out, sort it out. To many other people, we would interpret that as, you know, maybe a dream that you weren't able to fulfill, or a business that you weren't able to open, or telling your crush that you love them. You know, that it would mean like more of a positive thing. But for John, it instantly, his mind went to Patricia's smoking. And because he involved the devil with smoking, he just, in his head, he was like 100%, this is a sign from God, a universal sign that everything that he's been wanting to do but hasn't yet is literally supposed to happen. Pretty much in John's mind, he interpreted that as murder your wife. When John and Patricia went home, Patricia went up to bed and John laid next to her, but he just couldn't sleep. He was enraged. He just kept thinking about what the psychic had said. Literally the words sort it out was replaying in his head as if she was right there saying it to him. He also stated that he could smell the cigarette smell from her breath as she slept, and he would describe it as like a dirty ashtray. He hated the smell of that stale smoke. John got absolutely immersed in what the psychic said, and he, in his head, was certain about exactly what he needed to do. While his wife slept, he reached over and grabbed his hunting knife. He climbed on top of Patricia and started stabbing her constantly. Patricia woke up screaming, like horrifically screaming, as she's experiencing her husband stabbing her. I couldn't even imagine what was going through her head at this time, registering that she's being stabbed and the pain of being stabbed, and also seeing that her husband is the one that's doing it when she didn't even see it coming as well. There was no way that she could have even attempted to defend herself. While John was murdering his wife, he kept thinking about the fact that if she survived, the ambulance services or the doctors or nurses were able to give her CPR and resuscitate her, and he just did not want that to happen. So what he did next is so gruesome. If you want to skip over, you can. But he thought the only way that he could make sure that she was going to die and stay dead was that if he cut out her heart. And that is what he did. John also said that the reason he did this was that he didn't want her to survive and live with the fact that she's going to continue lying, or that she lied to him. This is a true trait of a narcissistic person. He's sort of playing the victim, like, she lied to me, she's going to do this to me. But if she remains dead, I have control over her life and over the fact that she can no longer lie to me. During this murder, Stuart, the 8-year-old son, heard his mum screaming. He ran to his parents' bedroom wondering what was going on, and that's where he witnessed his father stabbing his mother. And I don't know if he witnessed his father cutting out his mother's heart or not. That bit was a little unclear. It is not known how long Stuart was standing there, but it was when Stuart started crying and trembling where John realized that Stuart was standing at the door watching this whole thing. John realized that his son has just seen his own father killing his own mother. He thought that he is going to have nightmares for the rest of his life, and he's going to be scarred and traumatized by what he's witnessed. So he went over and with the same knife stabbed Stuart multiple times and killed him. He claims that the reason he did this was so that Stuart can now go be with his mother. And the fact that John could go and kill his son, who was already so scared. John then went to Little John's room and held a knife to his son's throat. Little John woke up at this point and he was startled. He looks at his father. His father says, "You are going to go join your mother now," and proceeds to kill Little John as well. Little John had no idea, because he didn't hear the screams of his mother or witness anything that had happened. I can't imagine like the confusion that he would have had the last couple of seconds leading up to his death. Like, what did his father mean by you're going to join your mother? I mean, I don't know what he was thinking in that moment, but I can only imagine. After he had done the killings, John had gone to the bathroom and cleaned himself up as well as the knife. He reached over to his computer and wrote an email to send to Patricia's two brothers. The subject of the email was "Smoking by my wife," and it was addressed as "to all it may concern." In this email, he justifies killing Patricia, and I'm going to read what some of it said. It says he killed her because she never stopped smoking. So that's what leads me to think that maybe she had said that she was going to quit and didn't. Like, it just, yeah, I don't know about that part. He says, "If only I divorced her, I would always be reminded of the fact that she lied to me." So he's saying that if he had just divorced her and not killed her, he would be consumed by the fact that she lied to him. And also he wrote, "So you will see and learn that I have given her and the boys absolute freedom. Forgive me for taking such a drastic measure." He believed that killing his two sons and his wife gave them the ultimate freedom of living a painful life. The way he said that "you will see and you will learn why" is pure manipulative. It's almost as though he's trying to push his reasoning, his justification onto someone when there's really no way of even trying to understand why this occurred. There's no way that you could even think that this was okay. And if you do, that's really twisted. I don't think even by sending this email, it would make things any better for anyone. It's not even classified as closure. It's just you're left with more questions. This email also shows how deluded he was by what he thought that the psychic said. And he also believed that people would understand why he killed them. After the email was sent, John attempted suicide by trying to cut his own heart out. But he failed to do this because he says that the knife was too blunt. However, while he was doing this, he injured himself pretty badly. He then climbed onto the bed where Patricia's body was. There was so much blood. Her body just laid in her own pool of blood, and Stuart's body laid on the floor in their room. You can just imagine how gruesome and horrifying this scene would have been. The next morning at around 7:30 a.m., Monique went to wake up little John as they went to the same school. And when she went into his room, that's where she found the dead body of little John. She was so scared. She was confused. She didn't know what was happening. She ran to her parents' room to let her parents know what has happened. And that's where she discovered the body of her little brother Stuart and her mum. The scene was, as you can imagine, there was just blood everywhere. And she also saw her dad on the bed alive, but very, very injured. Monique was asleep at a different part of the hotel. She did not sleep the same area as the parents and the two brothers. That's why she did not hear any of what was going on. After she discovered the bodies, she ran to tell a family friend who worked at the hotel. And the family friend went and saw what had happened, and that is when they called the police. Within about 20 minutes, the police arrived and the ambulance services arrived with riot vans and stormed into this hotel basement where the family was. They had closed off all the streets. There was so much uncertainty throughout the entire street. No one knew what was going on. Everyone's like, why are there so many police vans here? What's going on? Is everyone okay? Like, everyone was just so confused. When the police stormed into the basement level of the hotel, they found the bodies, and that is where they saw John laying on the bed, really injured, like I said before. But next to him was a Bible opened at the book of Revelations, and there was a cigarette lighter on top. That is where he admitted to killing Patricia and his 2 sons, and then informed the police that he had cut his wife's heart out. He also provided them with the reasoning that he needed to make sure that she could not be resuscitated. The police also found the body of little John in his room. John was immediately rushed to the hospital to get treatment. There were police officers that went with him so that once he was treated, they could straight away start asking questions. John pretty much admitted to everything. I mean, he just knew that there was no way out of this. He pled guilty to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility. He was given a couple of psychiatric tests. It shows in that test that when John was 19 years old, he was in a really bad car accident, which left him with some mental instability, which went undetected for so many years. He never ever got treatment for it or anything like that. And it was after that crash that he started becoming very obsessive and not thinking straight, but he just didn't really think of that as an issue. He just thought it was just the way that he thought. John pretty much escaped a murder charge because of the fact that he was not mentally stable. Look, in my opinion, I don't think he should have gotten away with a murder charge. It's pretty obvious to anyone watching this that he did have mental instability, but it just doesn't justify him murdering his wife and kids in cold blood. Detective Superintendent Ian Jones says that John Jarvis showed no remorse throughout the entire trial. He believes it was 100% cold-blooded. In 2004, John Jarvis was detained indefinitely at Ashworth Maximum Security Mental Unit in Liverpool. So he's not in a regular jail, he's in the mental unit of this hospital. In my opinion, I do believe it was murder, but I'm not the court. I don't decide these things. This case was just so, it's unbelievable. My heart goes out to the family and friends of everyone involved. It's such an unfortunate circumstance and it just should not have happened. And I just wanted to create awareness around the fact that people do also kill their kids, and it's not just between a couple. I said this also in the beginning of this video. Family tragedies like this happen more than we even know, more than it is even reported on mainstream media. I really think things like this should be reported on mainstream media. It's sad, but it is a reality that really needs to be looked into more. But thank you so much for watching. I will be bringing out more cases very soon. Let me know if there's any specific case that you want me to research. I'll be more than happy to look into it. But until next week, please stay happy, amazing, and positive. And I will catch you in my next video. Bye.